9 students.
Okay, fine. 9 students is a lot. 9 foreign students is a lot, right? And moreover, everything is in English, right? There is no book which is in Bangla, so everything has to be taught in English. Anyway,
Most of the concepts are unclear for us because we didn't understand many things that they.
What about my biochemistry lecturers? My biochemistry other teachers, do they speak in English?
Sometimes they speak in English and maximum time they speak in Bangla language.
Achha, for the Bengali students, can I request you? Do not want Bengali, okay? Do not want the teachers to talk in Bengali for you. You might be also asking, please just explain in Bengali for us.
আমাদের বায়োকেমিস্ট্রি টিচাররা বেশিরভাগ আমাদের ইংলিশেই লেকচার দেন, আমাদের বুঝতেও সমস্যা হয় না। ওনারা খুব কমই বাংলা ইউজ করেন, দুই একটা লাইন যেগুলো অত নেসেসারি না।
শুধু জেনারেল কথা তো এগুলো বাংলায় কথা বলে সবাই, মানে
ম্যাম যেমন তানিজা মিস তো কখনোই আমাদেরকে বাংলাতে লেকচার দেন না, উনি ওনার হোল লেকচার ইংলিশেই দেন।
যাই হোক, I'm telling the Bengali medium students, please do not request your teachers to speak in Bangla for you, okay? From now on, you have to also learn English. When they know that you are okay with English, then they will start talking in English. Maybe that is why
আমাদেরকে সবাই ম্যাম বাংলাতেই পড়ায়, শুধু মানে যেই কথাগুলা মানে পড়ার সাথে রিলেটেড না, যে এমনি কোনো কথা বললে ওই কথাগুলা বাংলাতে বলে, আর বাকি পড়া সব ইংলিশেই পড়ায়।
কিন্তু দেখো ওরা কিন্তু বুঝতেছে না, এবং দেখো ওদের কিন্তু একটা মন খারাপের ব্যাপার হচ্ছে। সো এটা খুব টাফ, এই বিগিনিং এর এই 2 months it's going to be tough. Anyway, Sakina, you don't need to be,
ম্যাম একটা প্রবলেম ছিল অ্যানাটমি আইটেম নিয়ে।
আচ্ছা দাঁড়াও।
Yes,
Sahari, Sakina, you don't need to be worried, okay? You know, everything is a bit tough in the beginning, the first 2 months. It will be a bit hard. Just after 2 months, you'll see that you'll be even understanding Bengali, just like you understand English, okay?
Yes, ma'am, that's true.
Just try and bear the thing.
I mean, offline classes will be much better.
Yes, when it is going to be offline, it will be much better.
But I'm a bit scared because concepts are unclear.
If you understand the topic, if you read the topic, when you go to give the item, that is enough. You forget that you did not understand everything the teacher said. Some are in Bengali, some are in English. Forget about that. But if you read the topic, you'll see that everything is clear for you.
Ma'am, in Kashmir also, Indian government has tapped internet connection. 4G connection is not working over here. Indian government has snapped internet over here. So we missed lecture of Thursday. On Thursday, we missed lectures.
Okay, then next class, when Tanija madam takes your class, you remind her that, madam, can you please repeat it again for us? Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, no need to worry. No need to worry at all. Okay. Now, in my last class, I remember halka in my last class, I hope you remember, I taught you about the pH scale, and I said that it is 0 to 14. I said that it is a range of, the range of pH is a scale which measures the acidity and alkalinity, right? I said all this.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
And I told you that 7 is neutral. I told you that more than 7 means alkalinity towards alkaline, and less than 7 means acidity. Acidic, when the solution is acidic. The more it is towards 0, the more it is, that solution is acidic. And I also told you that in any damn solution on earth, if you take the pH of that solution and if you add the pOH of that solution, when you add the two, you'll definitely get a 14, okay? 14. pH plus pOH is 14 for any solution. If that solution...
excuse me, ma'am, sorry to interrupt, but can you please speak a little louder?
Can I speak louder?
Yes, ma'am. There's been a little bit low volume in my side. I cannot hear properly.
What about the others? You can hear?
Ma'am is much louder.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Clear. Ma'am, you are clear, ma'am.
Okay.
You are much louder.
Okay. And here it is 100%. The speaker is also here 100%. Okay. So, so that was what I was saying, that in any solution, if the pH is 1, that means that solution is very acidic, but there is also a value of pOH in that solution. So when you add the pH and the pOH, then together it must be 14. Okay. Achha. Now, this
Ma'am, I have a question.
pH and pOH, this will change at times with the temperature. If the temperature changes, these things will also change. Okay. So I will give you a chart. I'll give it in the group. Okay. And regarding the pH scale, mute karo, jara kotha bolte chao na. Mute.
Ma'am, I have a question.
What? Bolo.
Ma'am, you said that pH is only can be from 0 to 14, but in HSC we read that pH can be under 0 and up to 14. What is the explanation of that?
pH is what?
pH can be under 0 and up to 14.
Where did you get this? It can be under 0.
Ma'am, it is in the chemistry book of HSC.
In the HSC book, it is written it can be under 0.
জি ম্যাম, মানে এরকম লেখা ছিল যে pH
Anyway, this is not from our medical book, okay? So forget about that. That is not at all a reference. তুমি দেখে দিও তো, দেখে আমাকে স্ক্রিনশট পাঠায় আমাকে পাঠিয়ে দিও তো।
জি
Okay.
ম্যাম, অবশ্যই। জি ম্যাম।
It is 0 to 14. তাহলে what did I say? That when it is 0, then the pOH is 14. When the pH is 1, then the pOH is 13, right? When the pH is 2, the pOH is 12. This is how they make 14. Now, when the hydrogen ion concentration, I told you, 10 to the power of -1, then the pH will be how much?
1, ma'am.
pH is 1. Okay. And 1. When the hydrogen ion concentration is 10 to the power -8, what will be the pH?
8, ma'am.
8. Everybody clear? Everybody clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, when the pH is 0, then what will be the hydrogen ion concentration?
0, ma'am.
Ma'am, 10 to the power 0.
1.
No, ma'am. 1, ma'am.
1 হবে 1
1.
10 to the power 0 হবে, 10 to the power 0, that means 1. Anything to the
1.
power of 0 is 1. Tahole you keep this in mind. When your hydrogen ion concentration is 1, 1 is a big number. Because all these are 10 to the power -5, 10 to the power -8. These are all very small numbers. These are all sub-multiple. Micro, milli, centi, milli, micro, nano, pico. These are all sub-multiples, okay? To the power minus something. So these are all small figures. Out of this, don't you think that one whole number is a big number? So yes, hydrogen ion concentration is equal to 1, and when the pH will be 0. Okay. So we in the exam, in the prom exam, we used to ask, can the pH be 0? Yes, the pH scale is 0 to 14. It can be 0. Can the hydrogen ion concentration of any solution, can it be 0? No, it can never be 0. Okay. Hydrogen ion concentration can never be 0 because the pH is 0 to 14. When the pH is 0, then the hydrogen ion concentration is 1. And when the hydrogen ion concentration is 10 to the power -14, then the pH is 14. So pH can be 0, but hydrogen ion concentration can never be 0. Okay? This is a tricky question we used to ask at times. Can hydrogen
Ma'am, could you please repeat?
Could I repeat it again?
Yes, ma'am.
Hydrogen ion concentration. When it is 10 to the power -1, then the pH is 1. Okay. When the hydrogen ion concentration is 10 to the power -5, the pH will be 5. right? But when the hydrogen ion concentration is 10 to the power 0, that is equal to 1, that is when the pH is 0. So hydrogen ion concentration can never be 0.
Okay.
No matter how much acidic, how much alkaline a solution is, it must be containing some amount of either acid or some amount of alkali. Okay? That is why
Yes,
the
ma'am.
hydrogen ion concentration can never be 0. বুঝতে পারছো তোমরা?
Yes, ma'am.
বাংলা মিডিয়ামদের জন্য বলি, যতই অ্যাসিডিক একটা সলিউশন হোক, যতই বেসিক একটা সলিউশন হোক, some amount of hydrogen ion concentration will be always present. Some amount of hydroxyl ion concentration will be present. Clear? Itu?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Acha. Another thing I told you about the pH scale, for 1 unit of pH change, hydrogen ion concentration changes by how many times?
Ma'am, 10 times.
How many times?
10 times, ma'am.
10 times. 10 times increase or 10 times decrease, right? So for every unit of the pH change, hydrogen ion concentration changes 10 times. If it is from pH 6 to pH 7, then the hydrogen ion concentration decreases, or you can say it changes 10 times inversely. Right? Decrease means inversely.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you say that for 1 unit of pH change, the hydrogen ion concentration changes 10 times, but inversely. Okay. And if it is for 2 unit pH change, how much concentration?
100 times, ma'am.
100 times, ma'am.
100
For
times.
3 units of pH change,
1000 times, ma'am.
1000 times.
1000 times.
Thousand
Do
times.
not say 20. Do not say 20. Do not say 30. Many students will make this mistake because I am teaching you here. So no chance of making this mistake. Okay. So, but we will ask you in different way. Like pH 6, one solution having pH 6, another solution having pH 5. Where the hydrogen ion concentration is more? Where? pH 5 or pH 6?
Yes. pH 5. pH 5.
5 now.
How many times? pH 4 বলতে আমি?
10 times. 10 times, ma'am.
100 times.
My pH 4 ki madam
pH
bolse.
5 and pH 6.
Ma'am pH 5.
10 times, ma'am.
How many times? 10 times.
10 times more than pH 6.
Where the pOH is more? In pH 5 solution or pH 6 solution?
pH solution.
Ma'am, pH 6 solution. pH 6.
6 solution, ma'am. pH 6 solution.
pH 6
pH
solution.
6.
How many times more than the pH 5 solution the pOH is more?
10 times,
10
ma'am.
times. 10 times.
10 times. Okay. pH 6 and pH 8, where the pOH, or you can say where the hydroxyl ion concentration is more, pH 6 or pH 8?
pH 8.
pH 8.
Hydroxyl 8. How many times more than the pH 6?
100 times,
100
ma'am.
times.
100 times, ma'am. 100 times.
100
ঠিক
times.
আছে, এটা clear তো? It is clear, I hope.
Yes,
Okay?
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I
Yes,
have
ma'am.
said it this way, that way, মানে যা দরকার তার থেকে I have said more than what is necessary for you. So I hope inshallah এই জায়গায় you won't be having any problem, okay? Again, I repeat, the foreign students, I hope you're understanding. How many are here? Can you raise your hand? Can I know your 135, Abdul Alim, you're here. I just saw Sakina, 133. Anyone else? Where are the foreigners? I want to know them also.
Yes, ma'am.
The Bengali students will be able to cope up. Oh, Ayan,
132.
132. You're Ayan.
Arshina.
No, ma'am. I'm 134.
Arshina, 132. Ayan Rafi, your roll number is what?
Ma'am, 134.
So why don't you write your roll number here? Why don't you save your roll number as your identity?
Ma'am, I did, ma'am, but
At the end, you won't be getting your item. No, it's not showing. It's not
Ma'am, I'll
showing.
just
So
change it.
135. So 135 is Abdul Alim, and 134 is Ayan Rafi, right? 132 is Arshina. 133 is Sakina. Anyone else?
Yes, ma'am.
Shahid Ahmed, 136.
Yes, ma'am.
136. And anyone else? Other foreigners? Koi, 9 জন হলো না তো? You're not 9.
There are two other from Uttar Pradesh, ma'am. I guess they're not present.
They're not connected? They're not connected?
Ma'am, there are two other
Okay.
more from Kashmir. They are going through some problems. Roll number
Ma'am, I
129 and
assume that-
140.
Okay, there is some emergency state, I guess, in Kashmir, right? I heard that there is some emergency
ma'am.
state going on in Kashmir. Okay, so now again, let's go back to the pH scale. At neutrality, the hydrogen ion concentration is equal to the hydroxyl ion concentration, which is equal to 10 to the power minus 7 mole per liter, and the pH is equal to the POH, which is equal to 7. The pH and the POH both are 7 at neutrality when the pH is 7. And then at that point, the hydroxyl ion concentration and the hydrogen ion concentration is just the same. Okay, that is what happens at neutrality. And when you add the both pH plus POH, you get a 14. Okay. pH and POH. pH means negative logarithm of hydrogen ion concentration. POH means negative logarithm of hydroxyl ion concentration. These are inversely related to each other, and their sum is always 14. Okay, these are the salient features. We might say that write a short note on pH scale. Okay, then you have to give all these points. Write a short note on pH scale. Then you give this point. So what did I say? pH and POH are inversely proportional to each other. Inversely proportional to each other, and their summation is always equal to 14. Okay, I hope there is no problem. I'm repeating again and again the same thing. I'm not going fast. I'm going in a very slow way so that each and every student can cope up, because this is the beginning. Okay. Now what happens in acidity? What happens is that the hydrogen ion concentration is more than the hydroxyl ion concentration. Any confusion here? Hydrogen ion concentration is more than the hydroxyl ion concentration. Or you can also say that the hydrogen ion concentration is more than 10 to the power minus 7. Can you say this? Can you say this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So you can also say this, that in acidity, what happens? Hydrogen ion concentration is more than, is greater than is sign, greater than 10 to the power minus 7. Or you can say that it is more than the hydroxyl ion concentration. Concentration is always shown by the symbol third bracket. Okay, hydrogen ion, and then you put a bracket this way. That will mean concentration of hydrogen ion. Exactly. In alkalinity means what? When the hydroxyl ion concentration is more than hydrogen ion concentration, or if the hydroxyl ion concentration is more than 10 to the power minus 7. Then we call it alkalinity. Here, Namira, 55. Are you listening? Namira, are you?
Yes, ma'am.
আমি যা যা বলছি বুঝছো? Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So what did I say? What is alkalinity?
Ma'am,
Alkalinity.
I catch the previous ones. I didn't catch this one well.
You didn't catch this one well.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
said that alkalinity means when the hydroxyl ion concentration is more than the hydrogen ion concentration. And when the hydroxyl ion concentration is more than 10 to the power minus 7.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
10 to the power minus 7. এটার থেকে যখন বেশি হবে hydroxyl ion concentration, then that will mean alkalinity.
Yes, ma'am.
And any pH above 7 is alkaline, any pH below 7 is acidic.
Yes,
At
ma'am.
25 degrees centigrade. At
Yes,
25
ma'am.
degrees centigrade, it is 14. But when the temperature gets higher temperature, the pH will fall slightly a bit, 13.72, 13.5. Okay, 13.5. In 40 degrees centigrade, it will be 13.5.
Okay, ma'am.
And in 0 degree, when the temperature is 0 degree, the pH of a solution will be equal to 15.3. There is a small difference here. In different temperatures, it will be different. But you memorize the one for our room temperature, that is 25 degrees centigrade. For 25 degrees, it will be 14.
Yes, ma'am.
So these are the informations about the pH scale. These are the information. I told you that pH is equal to 0 does not mean that any solution do not contain hydrogen, rather hydrogen ion concentration is maximum. When there is pH 0, someone might think that the pH is 0. So maybe there is no hydrogen ion concentration. Hydrogen ion concentration is maximum when the pH is 0. Okay, it is 1. 10 to the power 0, it is a whole 1 number. Okay, so these points are the things you have to know for the pH scale. Okay, now I wanted to tell you about the buffer. Okay, buffer. Before buffer, you need to know about the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation. Everybody, you will study the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation. Okay, everybody, can you write it? pH is equal to pK plus log of base by weak acid. Can you write it?
Ma'am, repeat, please.
Ma'am, repeat it.
This is called the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation. You open Lippincott, you will see that it is written in Lippincott. Hasselbalch equation. The equation is what? pH is equal to pK plus log of salt by acid. Salt by acid. And this acid has to be a weak acid. Okay. Now everybody, you try and memorize this equation. pH is equal to pK plus log of base or salt over weak acid. Have you written it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Mohammed Tanim, 74. 74. Henderson-Hasselbalch equation টা বলো তো? Henderson-Hasselbalch equation. Is Tanim present? Roll 74.
Yes, ma'am.
So what did I say about the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation?
I'm sorry, ma'am. পারবো না, ম্যাম।
কেন? মাত্রই তো বললাম রে বাবা, pH plus নাকি?
Oh, yeah, madam. pH is equal to pK plus log of salt by acid.
Good. সবাইকে জানতে হবে. Everybody has to know. তাসমিয়া কবির ফুল. দেখি ফুল, তুমি বলো তো?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you state the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation?
Yes, ma'am. pH is equal to pK plus log salt by acid.
Good. Roll 72. Mir Raihan. Can you state the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation? Everybody, today you have to write down the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation. Follow.
pH equal to pK plus log of salt by acid.
It can be a salt or it can be a base. Okay, it can be a salt or it can be a base over a weak acid. Yeah. Email 2617 roll. Follow the
Yes, ma'am.
Henderson-Hasselbalch equation here. Follow.
And pH is equal to pK plus log of salt by acid.
Sumaya Jannat. Henderson-Hasselbalch equation to follow. You have to know this properly because we will give you calculations after this.
And pH is equal to pK plus log salt by acid.
Everybody has to know this. Now you see, pH is a negative logarithm of hydrogen ion concentration. What is pK? pK, P is the negative logarithm of the dissociation constant. K is a constant. So pK means negative logarithm of the dissociation constant. Every buffer will be having a specific dissociation constant. And that dissociation constant will be depending on how much that buffer has a power to dissociate. That will determine its dissociation constant. In our blood, the pH is, I told you, 7.4, right? So for bicarbonate buffer, the pH of bicarbonate buffer is 6.1. It is nearer to 7.4. So that is why bicarbonate buffer is a strong buffer. Any buffer, all buffers have a proper pK. The more the pK is near the pH, the more that buffer is a strong buffer. Okay, remember that in mind. Okay. Now we will study buffer.
Ma'am, repeat it again.
Eh?
Ma'am, repeat कीजिए.
कोनटा repeat करबो?
Ma'am, PK. Ma'am, PK ta.
PK is the negative logarithm of dissociation constant. Dissociation constant. Okay. So the more a buffer will dissociate, the more it can go and react, the more stronger it is, right? So any buffer which has a pK close to the physiological pH is more powerful. It will be getting more powerful. The more it is closer, the more it becomes powerful. Closer to what? To the physiological pH. Now, phosphate buffer, it has a pK value of 6.8. So it is even more powerful than the bicarbonate buffer. 6.8 is the pK of phosphate buffer. Okay, just remember that. Now come what is buffer. You have to know what is buffer. In English language, we use buffer in many ways. Buffer, we say that he has some buffering action. Buffer means to neutralize, to dilute the situation. We used to say that that person, he's working, but he's a good manager because he acts like a buffer. Buffer means like to solve problems, to dilute situations, and to handle and manage things properly. Okay, that means buffer in English. Literal, in the literal meaning, this is what it means. Now, what do you know about buffering? There is buffering in the online. You used to get buffering, right? What does that buffering mean?
ঘুরে এরকম যে বাফারিং ঘুরে
হ্যাঁ ঘুরে মানে কি
ম্যাম আনস্টেবল নেট
স্লো হয়ে যায়
ম্যাম স্টেবল করার জন্য নেট মেবি
বলেন না যে বাফারিং হচ্ছে মানে when something becomes unstable when something becomes unstable then they start buffering to just
trying to solve problem
trying to solve problem. Okay, that is buffer. Okay, now that is all what you know about buffer. Now come, what is our buffer? We as doctors, we as medical biochemists, what do we understand by buffer? Buffer, actually it is imaginary. In our blood, there are chemicals moving in the blood. But those chemicals, they are in pair, chora. They move in pair in the blood. What pair? The pair is like, it will be a salt, and that source acid will be underneath. Okay. For example, if the acid is H2CO3, carbonic acid, right? So this acid has a conjugate base. What is the conjugate base? When carbonic acid breaks down, it gives you hydrogen ion and bicarbonate, HCO3. I wish I could take this class in my office room because I have a big blackboard in the office room. I'm not comfortable writing in the blackboard here. In my room there is a big blackboard. Anyway, I'll try to manage taking something from my room. This is a library. So in the library we don't have the blackboard, we don't have chalk and duster because it's tough for you to understand. Okay. So carbonic
Ma'am, I had an off-topic question, ma'am.
What?
Ma'am, are the offline starting from 13th September?
For you, I don't think so. You're not vaccinated yet. How is it going to happen?
Ma'am, we are vaccinated.
You're vaccinated.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you're vaccinated, you can come to college. You can come to college. A lot of students are coming. We are taking exams offline even, unofficially. We're not telling anyone, but we're taking exams. Everything is going on. Just a few minutes ago, I took 3 people's item exam because they're supposed to sit for the professional exam just next month on 2nd October. So they're all coming. But government didn't give any notice. It doesn't matter. For medical students and doctors, they're above all instructions. Above all.
Ma'am, 13 তারিখের কথা বলছিল যে 13 সেপ্টেম্বর থেকে কলেজ খোলা।
Did you get any notice?
Ma'am, yesterday sir said that today is the meeting about reopening of colleges. Today will
wait for another 2-3 days. Let's see what is coming. Let's see what kind of notice is served. Then we can understand. Okay. But for medical students, it will open. You be sure. And even if it doesn't open, I request the foreigners, you start taking preparation for coming. Okay. Make sure you come. You come, you take your hostel, you take your seat, you stay at home. That is also another preparation. It doesn't mean that tomorrow there will be class, you just come tomorrow. That is not the thing. Because all
Ma'am, you're not audible.
Huh? I'm not audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Why? Okay, so you take preparation for coming. Everybody has to come very soon. Now come buffer. So I told you that when the component below is carbonic acid, H2CO3, this is carbonic acid. When carbonic acid breaks down to give hydrogen ion and bicarbonate, any salt with this bicarbonate is called the conjugate base, or it is called the salt. So sodium and bicarbonate will make sodium bicarbonate. So on top, sodium bicarbonate, and below, carbonic acid. This is called a buffer pair. The weak acid with its conjugate base, with a salt of this base. Okay, so that is a buffer pair. All buffer remain in pair form. All buffer has a base component on top, has an acid component below. All buffer must be having these two things. Okay, now let us come to the definition of buffer. What is buffer? Buffer is a mixture. You want to write it down? This is very important. If you want to write it down. Buffer is a mixture of a weak acid. Has to be a weak acid. It can never be a strong acid. Okay, remember. Buffer is a mixture of a weak acid and its conjugate base, and its conjugate base that tends to prevent the marked change of pH of a solution when moderate amount of acid or base is added to it. Okay? When moderate amount of
প্রেগন্যান্টের ওখান থেকে
রিপিট করেন ম্যাম।
Buffer is a mixture of a weak acid and its conjugate base that tends, that tends to prevent the marked change of pH of a solution. That prevents the marked change of pH of a solution when moderate amount of acid or base is added to it. Ayan Rafi, did you understand what I say?
Yes, ma'am.
So for you guys, it's going to be easy, you know. Like the Bengali medium, I have to explain it back in Bengali, but you, as soon as you listen to one line, I think you can easily grasp it, right? So you have a very good plus point in that case. So what did I say that what is buffer? It is a mixture of a weak acid with its conjugate base. And remember something, whenever you talk about any definition, any damn definition about anything, remember you have to talk about what the thing exactly is, like its structural kind of description, what it is, what kind of mixture it is, or what and what is mixed to get it. That thing must be there in the definition. Another thing is what it does, the main function of it. So after you said that it is a mixture of a weak acid and it's a conjugate base, then you said that which tends to prevent any marked change of pH, which prevents any marked change. Whenever there is some issue to make that solution pH change, then buffer will come and prevent it. That is the work of a buffer. Okay. If moderate amount of acid and alkali is added, let me tell you, for example, in our blood, in any way, 2 or 1 drop of acid is poured in our blood, then what will happen within seconds? The buffers present in our blood, they will come into action. They will come and start playing their role. Okay. But if you keep on giving a lot of acid, do you think that those buffers will be able to act? Your whole blood will be acidic and you will just die in few moments, right? Did you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
So that means even if your buffer works, it will work within a range. It must be having a range. Buffer, how much can it neutralize? That also has a capacity. It cannot neutralize hours after hours. It cannot neutralize amount after amount. It can neutralize a very limited amount of acid or alkali. Okay? This much is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, how many buffers are there in our body? What are the different buffer systems in our body? Number 1, bicarbonate buffer. Bicarbonate buffer. Number 2, phosphate buffer. Everybody memorize. Bicarbonate buffer, phosphate buffer, protein buffer, oxyhemoglobin buffer, reduced hemoglobin buffer, and ammonia. What are 6? Bicarbonate buffer, phosphate buffer, protein buffer, oxyhemoglobin buffer, reduced hemoglobin buffer, and ammonia buffer. These are the 6 important buffer systems of our blood. Okay. Abdul Alim, are you here? Without seeing the name of these 6 buffers I just mentioned. Where is Abdul Alim? Long hair, where are you? That's it?
No, ma'am, he's present.
Then you can't hear me?
Ma'am,
Naushin,
we have 2G internet here.
2G. Naushin, 51 roll. Follow to? Name the buffers. Name the buffer systems of our body. Quick.
Ammonia buffer, hemoglobin.
Ammonia buffer de shuru korla keno? Why did you start with ammonia buffer? Why not the most important buffer, which I said bicarbonate buffer, bicarbonate? That is the most important buffer of our body. These are all the buffers, but whenever you are asked which is the most important buffer in our body, you say bicarbonate buffer. When I say which is the most potent buffer, potent potent means kind of powerful, but important means it has a lot of function. When I say what is the most potent buffer, then you can say phosphate buffer. But when I ask what is the important, the most important, the most significant buffer in our body, then you mention about bicarbonate buffer.
Bicarbonate buffer.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
দেখি, tell me the list, quick. দেখি তোমার চেহারা দেখি, পরিচয় নাই তো। নওশিন পৌলোমি, পৌলোমি। Okay, বলো বাফার গুলি নাম বলো চট করে, quick.
Ma'am, bicarbonate buffer, bicarbonate buffer, hemoglobin buffer, ammonia buffer,
Yes, হ্যাঁ বসছে, মাত্র বলতেছি তারই মধ্যে ভুলে গেছে। বুঝছো? তাহলে বুঝছো কত কঠিন মেডিকেল সায়েন্স বুঝছো তো? সারাক্ষণ টিচারের সামনে এই নাটক করতে হবে, সারাক্ষণ টিচারের সামনে পারফরমেন্স ফেস করতে হবে। তখন দেখবা if you have 50 in your head, when you come in front of the teacher, 5 will remain, and when you go to speak, 2 will remain, and you will keep on shivering and become nervous, and one you'll be able to produce. So you have to read a lot so that you can overcome your nervousness. Okay? Acha thak, off karo. Sadiqur Rahman, 38. Sadiqur Rahman.
Yes, miss. Yes, miss.
Video on karo. Tell me the blood body buffer systems in our body. Tell me the body buffer.
Question ta bujhi nahi.
What is? Give me the list of the body buffer system.
Ma'am, there are 4 types of buffer in our body buffer, my blood buffer.
4 type na 6 type.
6 type.
চারটা লিখে দিছিল।
ম্যাডাম ব্লাড বাফার 4টা তো।
কে বলছে 4টা?
বডি বাফারের কথা
লাস্টে লিখে দিছিল। ব্লাড বাফার 4টি।
কমন
ব্লাড বাফার আর বডি বাফার
বলছে কমন বাফারের কথা, কমন বাফার।
কমন বাফার, টেল মি দ্য কমন বাফার, তাহলে আর কি ইজি হবে। হ্যাঁ, পরে ভাগ করো, পরে বডি ভাগ করো, ব্লাড ভাগ করো, ডু ইট লেটার। টেল মি দ্য কমন বাফার সিস্টেম।
ম্যাডাম প্রথমে হচ্ছে বাইকার্বনেট বাফার, ফসফেট বাফার, হিমোগ্লোবিন বাফার, তারপর হচ্ছে অ্যামোনিয়া বাফার।
এগেইন
ম্যাডাম প্রথমে হচ্ছে বাইকার্বনেট বাফার, ফসফেট বাফার, তারপরে হচ্ছে হিমোগ্লোবিন বাফার, প্রোটিন বাফার, আর একটা হচ্ছে ম্যাডাম অ্যামোনিয়া বাফার।
রিডিউসড হিমোগ্লোবিন বলবো না, একটা অক্সি হিমোগ্লোবিন, একটা রিডিউসড হিমোগ্লোবিন।
জি মিস।
ওকে, হিমোগ্লোবিনের মধ্যে there are 2 types.
Yes miss.
Siddhartha Poddar prion. Can you tell me the common buffer systems of our body? Siddhartha Poddar prion. Quick. Action. 2699. Muhammad, what?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me the list. Tell me the common buffer system.
Ma'am, bicarbonate buffer, phosphate buffer, protein buffer, hemoglobin buffer, reduced hemoglobin buffer, ammonia buffer.
Lamia assault, then you know this buffer, this bicarbonate part of the buffer will quickly come and play action. That bicarbonate will quickly come and react with the acid which is making the assault. Bicarbonate and the acid. Acid means hydrogen ion, and that bicarbonate and that hydrogen will join together, will react together to form a weak acid, which is carbonic acid. And carbonic acid is not harmful for the body. But when the assault was happening, that happened due to a strong acid. Strong acid like hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid. So hydrochloric acid, when it does an assault, then hydrochloric acid consists of hydrogen ion and chloride. That hydrogen ion can be neutralized by the bicarbonate of the buffer, okay, of the buffer pair. Now come when there is okay, shuna jao. Now comes when there is alkaline assault. Alkaline assault means hydroxyl ion is poured in your blood. Then what will happen? Then in the buffer pair, remember bicarbonate on top and carbonic acid below. This carbonic acid will quickly come into action. It will go and it will react with this bicarbonic acid consists of hydrogen ion. That hydrogen ion will quickly go and react with hydroxyl ion, sodium hydroxide, to form sodium bicarbonate. That is also a weak thing. Okay, so this is how whenever there is acidic assault, the alkaline part of the buffer will go and play into action. When there is alkaline assault, the acidic part of the buffer will go and play action. And this is how they are going to neutralize the effects of the strong alkali or acid. Okay, this is how a buffer will act. বুঝতে পারছো? Did you understand? কে বললা বুঝলা না?
ম্যাম আমি বুঝতে পারি।
হ্যাঁ, in my next class বুঝাবো আর তুমি তোমাদের লেকচারদের কাছে জিজ্ঞেস করবে, okay? It is written. Everybody, you just open the Indian book. ইয়েতে দেখো, উপরে দেখো, নিচে দেখো. You'll find it how. What did I teach you? I taught you the definition of buffer. I told you about the common buffer system. I told you about the mechanism of action of buffer. Okay? Mechanism of action of buffer. Okay, huh? Thank you very much. In my next class, we will go to different topics. Okay? Acid base, motamoti, porano hoye gache. We'll go to other topics. We'll start biomolecules, I guess. Okay? We'll start biomolecules. Okay, I'll give you 2 homeworks today. You have to write this down. Huh? Thank you very much.
Allah Hafiz, ma'am.
Allah Hafiz.
Assalamu alaikum, ma'am.